Welcome back, dear listeners, to another story that holds within it a lesson about the power of transformation, both inside and out. Today, I bring you a tale of a sculptor and a shapeless stone, a story that explores the journey from roughness to refinement, from potential to masterpiece. It's a story that reflects the process of personal growth and self-improvement, and it reminds us that, just like a block of stone, we all have the potential to become something truly extraordinary if we are willing to endure the chiseling and shaping that life requires. As you listen, I encourage you to think about your own life and the ways you've shaped yourself over time, the pieces you've chipped away, and the beauty that emerged as a result. There once lived a sculptor named Adrian, renowned throughout his land for creating the most breathtaking sculptures. His hands could bring life to the coldest of stones, turning them into figures so graceful, so lifelike, that people would travel from far and wide just to see them. His workshop was filled with his creations, statues of gallant knights, elegant dancers frozen in mid-step, animals that seemed poised to spring into motion. Each piece was a testament to his skill, patience, and vision. But despite his success, Adrian never stopped striving for perfection. He believed that every stone had a masterpiece hidden within it, and it was his duty to reveal it. The process of sculpting, he knew, was not just about chipping away at the surface. It was about seeing beyond the rough exterior to the potential within. It was about understanding the stone's strengths and weaknesses, its unique qualities, and then bringing them to light. One day, as Adrian roamed through a quarry in search of his next project, he came across an enormous, misshapen block of marble. It was rough and uneven, covered in deep grooves and cracks. Most would have overlooked it as a flawed piece of rock, unworthy of consideration. But as Adrian stood before it, he felt a peculiar sense of connection. There was something about its rawness, its unrefined nature that called to him. He ran his hands over the stone's surface, feeling the imperfections beneath his fingertips. Where others saw flaws, Adrian saw potential. Where others saw a useless block of marble, he saw the possibility of something truly extraordinary. He decided then and there that this would be his next project. He would turn this shapeless stone into his greatest masterpiece yet. Adrian arranged for the stone to be transported to his workshop, where he placed it at the center of the room. He circled it slowly, examining every inch, every angle. To most, it would have seemed that he was simply staring at a formless rock. But in Adrian's mind, a vision was already beginning to take shape. He could see the outline of a figure within the stone, a form that was both strong and delicate, powerful yet graceful. It was a vision that would require patience, precision, and perhaps more skill than he had ever needed before. With a deep breath, Adrian picked up his hammer and chisel. He knew that the journey from rough stone to masterpiece would not be easy. Each strike of the chisel would be a step toward revealing the hidden beauty within, but it would also be a test of his resolve and understanding. He would have to chip away not just at the stone, but also at his own doubts, frustrations, and uncertainties. The first cuts were tentative, gentle taps that merely brushed the surface of the marble. He removed only small fragments, careful not to force his vision onto the stone, but to work with its natural grain and texture. He listened to the sound of the chisel striking the marble, the subtle variations that told him where the stone was strong and where it was fragile. He adjusted his technique, his movements fluid and responsive. As the days turned into weeks, Adrian worked tirelessly, shaping and refining the stone. He would rise early in the morning, his mind filled with ideas and possibilities. Each day he would chip away a little more, slowly bringing the form within the stone to life. There were moments of progress when a new curve or angle would emerge, perfectly aligned with his vision. And there were moments of setback when a piece would chip off unexpectedly, leaving a jagged edge that required careful repair. But through it all, Adrian remained focused. He understood that every imperfection, every unexpected turn was part of the process. He didn't let mistakes discourage him. Instead, he saw them as opportunities to adapt and evolve his vision. He would pause, reflect, and then adjust his approach. The work was slow and painstaking, but Adrian welcomed the challenge. He knew that true beauty was not created in haste. It was revealed through patience and persistence. As the weeks stretched into months, the shapeless stone began to transform. Where there had once been roughness and unevenness, now there was a graceful figure emerging, a form that seemed to flow with a life of its own. Adrian sculpted with a delicate touch, bringing out the subtle curves of a shoulder, the gentle lines of a face, the tension in a hand poised in mid-motion. Every detail was crafted with care and thoughtfulness, each stroke of the chisel guided by his deep understanding of the stone's potential. But the journey was not without its struggles. There were days when Adrian questioned himself, when the figure seemed stubbornly resistant to his efforts. He would step back, his gaze lingering on the unfinished sculpture. wondering if he had misjudged the stone's capabilities. But then he would remind himself that transformation is never straightforward. It is a process of trial and error, of pushing boundaries and then stepping back, of knowing when to apply pressure and when to yield. One day, as Adrian was working on the finer details of the sculpture, a small group of people gathered outside his workshop. They had heard rumours of the unusual stone he was working on, the one that had seemed so unpromising at first. Curious to see what the renowned sculptor could create from such an unremarkable block of marble, they peered through the windows, their eyes widening as they caught sight of the nearly completed figure. What they saw was a figure of breathtaking beauty, a dancer caught in mid-motion, her body arching gracefully, her arms extended as if reaching for the sky. The stone that had once been so rough and jagged was now smooth and polished, every line and curve flowing seamlessly into the next. The dancer seemed almost weightless, as if she could leap off her pedestal at any moment and soar through the air. The onlookers were stunned. How had Adrian managed to turn such a flawed piece of stone into something so exquisite? They marvelled at his skill, at his ability to see what no one else could see. But more than that, they were inspired. If a rough, unshaped stone could be transformed into a masterpiece, then perhaps they too could transform themselves. Perhaps their own imperfections, their own rough edges could be chiseled away to reveal something beautiful and strong beneath. As Adrian added the final touches to the sculpture, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This had not been an easy project. There had been moments of doubt and frustration, times when he had wondered if he was pushing the stone too far, or if he should have chosen an easier project. But now, looking at the finished piece, he knew that every struggle, every hour spent chiseling and polishing had been worth it. The dancer stood before him, her form captured in a moment of perfect grace, a testament to the power of transformation. When the sculpture was unveiled to the public, it drew crowds from near and far. People stood in awe, gazing at the masterpiece that had emerged from a stone so seemingly unremarkable. They spoke of Adrian's talent, his perseverance, his ability to bring forth beauty from even the most unlikely of sources. But when they asked Adrian how he had done it, how he had seen such potential in a stone that others had dismissed, he simply smiled and shook his head. "The beauty was always there," he said softly. "It was hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed. My job was not to create it, but to uncover it, to chip away at what was not needed until what remained was what the stone had always been meant to become." His words resonated deeply with those who heard them. They realized that the process of transformation was not just about the stone, it was about themselves as well. Just as Adrian had seen the potential within the marble, they too could see the potential within themselves. Just as the stone had undergone a painful, challenging process to become a masterpiece, so too could they endure the chiseling and shaping of life to become the best versions of themselves. The sculpture remained in the town square for many years, a symbol of hope and inspiration. People would come to see it, not just for its beauty, but for the story it represented. The story of a shapeless stone that had been transformed through patience, skill, and vision. And whenever someone faced a difficult period of growth, a time when they felt unformed and incomplete, they would look at the sculpture and remember that transformation is not instant. It is a journey that takes time, effort, and perseverance. In the end, Adrian's greatest masterpiece was not the dancer itself, but the lesson it taught. The lesson that, like a stone waiting to be sculpted, each of us has a masterpiece within. That our rough edges, our flaws, and our imperfections are not obstacles to be hidden, but parts of the process that shape us into who we are meant to become. So, dear listeners, remember this story of the sculptor and the shapeless stone. Whenever you feel weighed down by your own doubts or limitations, remember that transformation is a process, one that requires patience and self-compassion. The beauty you seek is already within you, waiting to be uncovered through persistence, effort, and faith in your own potential. Thank you for joining me in this tale of personal transformation and self-improvement. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of your own journey of growth, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's celebrate the beauty of becoming, the strength it takes to endure the shaping, and the masterpiece that lies within each of us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us all of the power we have to shape our own destinies.